There's a voice in your head, but not the loud one. Not the one that speaks when you're talking to people, explaining yourself, justifying your decisions, or projecting confidence. This one is quieter. It doesn't interrupt you. It doesn't argue. It doesn't try to motivate you when you're tired or congratulate you when you win. It simply watches. It watches when your alarm goes off and you hesitate in that half-conscious state between intention and action. It watches when you say you'll start tomorrow and tomorrow quietly dissolves into next week. It watches when you promise yourself something small, something no one else even knows about, and then break it with a justification so soft it barely feels like a lie. And the most unsettling part is this: it never forgets. It doesn't react emotionally in the moment. It doesn't punish you immediately. Instead, it collects, it stores, it builds a pattern, and over time, without announcing it, it forms a conclusion, a quiet, stable identity. This is who you are. Not who you say you are, not who you intend to be, but who you consistently prove yourself to be. This is the self-signalling problem. The idea that you are not just signalling to the world, you are constantly signalling to yourself. And more importantly, you believe your own signals. We like to think identity is something we choose, something we declare. I'm disciplined, I'm focused, I'm the type of person who follows through. But your brain doesn't work like that. It doesn't take your word for it. Instead, it watches your behaviour the way you'd watch a stranger. If you saw someone consistently waking up early, training, doing difficult things without excuse, you'd label them disciplined. If you saw someone consistently delaying, negotiating with themselves, choosing comfort, you'd draw a different conclusion. Here's the uncomfortable truth: your brain is doing the exact same thing to you. Imagine your mind as a courtroom. There's no audience, no applause, no external pressure, just a quiet, objective process unfolding in the background. You're on trial. The question is simple: what kind of person is this? Every single day you submit evidence. When you follow through on something difficult, that's evidence. When you avoid it, that's evidence too. When you delay, justify, or take the easier path, that's logged. When you act with discipline, even when it's inconvenient, that's recorded. And here's the rule of the courtroom: words are not admissible, only actions count. You can stand there and declare your intentions all you want. You can explain, rationalize, even passionately argue your case. But the judge, the observing part of you, is unmoved. It only cares about patterns. Now here's where this becomes real. Not in big life decisions, but in small, almost invisible moments. Your alarm goes off, it's early, it's cold, you don't feel like getting up. There's no audience, no one to impress, just you and a choice. If you get up, despite resistance, you send a signal: I do what I say. If you hit snooze and you send a different signal: I negotiate with myself. Neither decision feels life-changing in isolation, but your brain isn't tracking isolated events, it's tracking patterns. Think of each action like a vote, not for what you achieve, but for who you are becoming. One vote doesn't decide the outcome, but over time the votes stack up, quietly, consistently, irreversibly, and eventually the identity becomes undeniable. Here's where things get dangerous. Humans are incredibly good at creating the appearance of progress. You can talk about your goals, you can plan endlessly, you can consume motivation, watch videos, read books, post about growth and discipline. And to the outside world, it can look convincing, but internally, it means nothing. Because your internal watcher isn't listening to your words, it's watching your behaviour when there is no reward attached, when there is no recognition, when there is no immediate payoff. You can signal success outwardly, but inwardly, you cannot fake evidence. And this is where many people get stuck. They build an identity socially that isn't backed internally. They look confident but don't feel it. They speak about discipline but hesitate under pressure. They present strength but experience doubt. That gap, the gap between what you project and what you prove, is where insecurity lies. So let's strip this back. Imagine you wake up tomorrow and no one else can see you. No social media, no feedback, no validation. Nothing you do can be observed, praised or judged by anyone else. It's just you. Would you still wake up early? Would you still train? Would you still work with the same intensity? Or would something change? If your behaviour shifts even slightly, then you've uncovered something powerful. Some of your actions were never about becoming. They were about being seen becoming. And again, that's human, but the danger is when external signalling replaces internal proof. Because the only signals that shape your identity long term are the ones you send when no one is watching. The idea explains something most people misunderstand. Confidence is not built through affirmations, it's not built by repeating, "I believe in myself" in the mirror. Confidence is evidence-based. It's based on the natural byproduct of watching yourself show up, repeatedly, under conditions where it would be easier not to. Discipline isn't forced, it's reinforced. Every time you follow through, you strengthen your identity. Every time you don't, you weaken it. Self-respect works the same way. You don't get it by demanding it. You earn it by behaving in ways that your internal observer respects. And this is why small actions matter so much. Not because of their immediate outcome, but because of what they signal. Here's the long game. One skipped session doesn't define you. One productive day doesn't define you either, but repeated patterns do. Over weeks and months, your behaviour compounds, not just in results, but in identity. You either build a version of yourself that you trust, or one you quietly doubt. And that trust, or lack of it, affects everything. How you approach opportunities, how you respond to pressure, how you handle setbacks. Because when things get difficult, you don't rise to your intentions. You fall back on your identity. So how do you use this? Well, first, reduce empty signals. Less talking, less announcing, less projecting. Let your actions carry the weight, not for other people, but for you. Second, prioritize consistency over intensity. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be reliable. Even small actions repeated daily begin to shape the internal narrative. Third, build awareness. Start noticing your behaviour in real time. After each decision, ask yourself, what did I just prove? Not in a judgmental way, but in an observational one. Because awareness is what turns unconscious patterns into conscious control. And finally, understand this. You are building a reputation with yourself. Just like trust with another person, it's built slowly and lost quickly. Every promise you keep strengthens it. Every promise you break weakens it. So imagine two versions of yourself. Same intelligence, same environment, same opportunities. The only difference is one keeps promises to themselves, the other doesn't. Fast forward 5 years, do they live the same life? Or do they become completely different people? Not because of talent or luck, but because of identity. That quiet voice in your head is always watching. It's always recording. And it's always drawing conclusions. You don't become what you say you are. You don't even become what you want to be. You become what you repeatedly prove. So the real question isn't what are your goals? It's this. What are you proving every single day? And if you like this episode, don't forget to follow, like, comment and subscribe. And just a quick shout out to our sponsors. Strong Coffee Company, protein-packed coffee for energy and clarity. Use code VANCRUX1 for 20% off at strongcoffeecompany.com. And then there's More Labs, clinically proven hydration and recovery drinks. Use code VANCRUX1 for 25% off at morelabs.com. And finally, liquor gummies, electrolytes and vitamins for hangover prevention. Use code VANCRUX1 for 20% off at liquor.com. That's liquure.com.